Hello, everyone. Welcome back to what it's gonna be episode 5 of Final Thoughts with Emilio. Episode 5, we're looking at Italy, at Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, Imola, a place where a lot of things happened last year, but I already talked about that, so I'm gonna talk about this year. And my first my first comment on this whole race is that I actually got excited for a rain race. I immediately got a text from Brian, like with the same amount of excitement of, hey, well, let's see what happens with this rain race. Let's see how cars get managed. Let's see how the race goes. And we were just a little bit hyped for it. So that's for starters. After that, the start of the race. I think I kind of always start with that, and today is not going to be the exception for it. So it was a great start for Checo and Norris. So I like that. Norris managed to position his car very nicely and just had a very solid beginning of the race. Then the whole Sainz incident with Danny Rick. I don't know. Here I have in my notes like think if this was fair to him, which now that I think about it, it's never fair. Like unless you cause the accident, it's never fair. But man, it must have hurt a lot to have your second Grand Prix in a row that you DNF. So not a huge fan of that. It was nice to see that at least Daniel got out of it, but it seemed that Carlos had the corner, and I think just overall, Danny just like hit the curb a little bit, and then that just kind of like made him hit Carlos, and well, the rest we know what happened. So it's not fair, but it's racing. It's part of racing. So he's gonna hopefully he comes back stronger. Then kind of like moving fast forward, Alonso just out of the race again. Uh, like he had a side pod just like broken, just missing, and I thought it was a little bit curious to see the team radio just as soon as he's pitting, like, yo, how bad is the damage? And the guys are just like, it's really bad, man. Like it's bad. Like Alonso wanted to keep driving, keep racing, but against that there's not a lot you can do. So I feel bad for that, and I feel overall bad for El Plan. What's happening? El Plan is not working. We need to modify El Plan, or just maybe it's part of it. Maybe this bad race is all part of the great scheme of El Plan. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Moving on. I think Kevin Magnussen was doing some great defending around lap 12. It's no surprise from K-Mag that he was holding up his ground, because I mean he's a fierce driver. He's not afraid of putting the car out there. So not surprising, but nice to watch, at least in my opinion. Also, I was completely unaware that DRS was disabled for a huge part of the race, and it took me a while to figure out that, I mean, it was a safety issue. Makes sense. Like, let's not put these drivers at more risk with the DRS, but yeah, that took me a while to notice. And on that topic, I thought it was pretty interesting and fun to see overtakes without DRS. An example was Bottas and Leclerc. I thought that was a very nice little scruff. I don't know if that's English, but yeah, it was a little nice battle between them, and just to see that, like, there's still the chance and the asset to overtake without the DRS, that the cars are holding up to what they were supposed to do, which is like increase the wheel-to-wheel racing, more overtakes, making more like entertaining to the spectators. So yeah, I like that. It was very nice to see. What else? Oh yeah, I thought to myself when I saw Danny Rick pit for the early slicks, that was like straight up Hail Mary, just like football. Um, didn't really pay well. Like it paid off. Uh, I'm sure that's not what they wanted to see happening, but I mean, when you're in that tough position, I supported it. I was like, okay, makes sense. Like, let's try to catch everyone early and then try to get the best result out of it. And there were a lot of pit stops. I mean, it makes sense, wet, rain, when to change tires, when to like stay out, which tires to pick. So I mean, it's still again another normal thing, or a common expected thing to happen. But I just remember thinking to myself that those were a lot of pit stops, and hence here we are talking about it. What else? Next on the list, Perez just losing a position to Leclerc while pit stopping. I wasn't a fan of it, but I was a great fan of just watching him take the position right back, with more mature tires. So that was nice. Got me hyped. It always gets a little bit of extra spice for my Sunday when I watch Checo perform well. So I like that. I like that a lot. Then it was worth noticing that at lap 35 the DRS was enabled. So yeah, I mean, it did not take me that long to notice that the DRS was not that was disabled. But yeah, just 35 laps of old school racing. I thought it was very, very entertaining. I think one of the biggest highlights of the race was lap 41. Verstappen just lapping Hamilton. Boy, I cannot even get close to imagining how that could have felt to Lewis. Like getting lapped by the defending world champion after the history and the circumstances that world championship was, how would you say it, was ended. That must have been a terrible feeling. But I mean, he does not stop being Lewis Hamilton. Like, my man, I'm sure this is not the end of it. Of course, that will be a ridiculous thing to say, but I think it's just something that's gonna keep fueling him for the future races. I think there's a combination between him not getting used to the car that he's got and the team just trying to figure out the final specs on that car, on the aggressive take on the side pods. But going back to the main thing, must have been really tough for Hamilton getting lapped by Verstappen, and must have felt great for Verstappen to lap his previous season main contender. But I think that was one of the main highlights of this race, and I had to talk about it. Then, yes. Moving on with the weird, so Checo lost the position to Leclerc on pit stops, but then we carried on with great pit stops from Red Bull with Checo and Verstappen. So, I don't know. Kudos. Good job. Keep at it. Of course, they're going to listen to me, and they need my validation. So, great job. Then I literally on my notes, I have just one thing. What the actual fuck, Charles? Like what happened? I remember talking about this race on the previous video, hoping for a 1-2 Ferrari. Everything's going to go great, give people what they deserve. Then we have a tragic incident with Sainz, and then Leclerc decides to just like, you know what, let me kiss the wall a little bit. Just a little smooch. What happened was that he got very lucky that I think that he was able to just back up and drive away with minor damage to his car and still continue with the race, because a double DNF from Ferrari at Imola, that would be nightmare material, just nightmare fuel. But luckily it didn't happen, and still triggered clearly. But aside from the fact that he just decided to go greet the wall, it was nice to see that he could drive out of it. So yeah. Something else that I thought about was just giving some credit to Yuki. I thought he was having a very, very nice drive. He was doing some nice moves on the track, and then he had a clean overtake on lap 55, I think. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Someone is very welcome to correct me, but I think it was Sebastian that he overtakes. But I mean, after seeing that and kind of like noticing that he wasn't being like out off track, and like he was just having a nice race and clean one, which is something that I'm not usually aware of when it comes to Yuki. So good job. Yeah, happy for that. What else? Oh yeah. So I don't have it on my notes, but I just remembered. What happened on that pit lane? I think it was Lewis coming out of it, and then Ocon almost just smashing into him. That wasn't great. I was very close. I don't know. I honestly don't know what happens in that case. Again, if someone knows, please let me know. That's like kind of like the whole point with these videos. But if they crashed in the pit lane, is it the usual procedure? Just like red flag it, clear the pit lane, and then the car stay out? And so, yeah, I don't know what would have happened, but I mean, it's good that they didn't bump into each other. But I think that was something worth mentioning. Yeah, weird stuff happening in the pit lane. Yeah. Once again, I know I said this before, but I think I actually did talk faster in this video, or just had less opinions on the race. But it's time for the very interesting and the acclaimed final thoughts section of this video. And first of all things considered, I think Leclerc had a very good result after crashing. So, it's not what I wanted. It's definitely not what the Tifosi wanted. But, hey, at least he finished the race. There's points. And, again, considering that he went into a wall, pretty good result. Second, the fight for the fourth place between Russell and Bottas was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I was slightly entertained. The thing is, I felt like it was getting overhyped by commentators, by like the general public, like post-race. Yes, it was good. Yes, there was history between George and Bottas, like I mentioned in the last video, and the whole like who kept Mercedes' seat. But I think they focused too much on that instead of just actually enjoying watching the race. So I thought it was a little bit overhyped. But that's my take. Moving on. I'm staying on Russell. Again, credit what credit is due. Great job for having a clean race, a nice start to finish race, and positioning himself in fourth place. I think he has consistently done solid drives. Nothing too flashy, nothing too fancy. But hey, Consistency is key, and he is there. I think he's been top 5 in all of them. So, yeah, good job for George. Great performance. I think he's as synced with the car as he can be, considering the current state of the Mercedes. But yeah, good job. Something that I was glad to watch and that kind of like warmed my heart a little bit is that Aston Martin got points. So yeah, Aston Martin finally has points, which is very nice, which leads to my next final thought, which I think now that the Astons have points, this is the first time that all of the teams have scored points within the first, 4 races? Yeah, within the first 4 races. So I think that's, maybe it's a useless fact. Maybe it's just a trivia question. But I thought that's pretty cool. Whatever went through the FIA and with all these modifications, with the new rules, with the new specs on the car, I think it's paying off, seeing all the teams at least scoring a point before we even reach 5 races. Something went okay. Something is clicking. Something is sticking. And I like that. I think it's gonna make races more interesting. It's gonna make the season better. And it's just gonna help the public, the audience, to engage a little bit more with different teams, because it can get like very unilateral when it comes to like, oh, I want to watch this team, oh, I follow this team. But if all of the teams are consistently scoring some points, even if it's like 1 or just, winning podiums, I think that's good for the sport. I think it's good for the fans, and I think it's good for the teams to, at least have this mentality that, yeah, hey, like I can and I will score points. I've done it before. I can repeat it, and just like keep the entire grid on a little bit of a fight with each other, in a good sportsmanship way, So maybe you're not fighting for the top 3, but maybe you're fighting for the best of the rest, or maybe you just want to beat the next guy above you for some extra money. But I know this is all like known stuff, but the fact again that everyone has scored points, I think it just opens a huge window of opportunity for the teams, for the drivers, and for the fans to just enjoy the race a little bit more. So on that note, I think that is my final thought. Yeah. So yeah, I liked it. Overall, I liked the race. Again, it was fun seeing them race without the DRS. And I liked the podium. It was a double header for Red Bull, which I was expecting a Ferrari one, but we love to see Checo up there. So seeing Verstappen, Checo, and Lando really warms my heart, and it's good also for the overall drivers championship. And I'm telling you, man, if Checo plays his cards right, maybe we can see him high for a world championship. Maybe I'm just being naive. Maybe I'm just being a little hopeless. I don't know. I don't even know how to call it. Maybe I just have a lot of faith. But I like the podium. I'm happy for Lando. I think in the post-race interview, and I might be wrong, but they asked him like if he was expecting him to, if he was expecting to get into the podium, if it was like the car or the DNFs or whatever that got him to that position, and just Max defending Lando like no, it was a driver, great driver. It was all talent. I like that. That was nice. They fight in the car, but outside of it, I think most of them are very nice to each other. So it's good to see that there's a healthy relationship overall within the sport. And I'm a liar too. Breaking news, because I said that I already talked about my final thought, but now that is my final thought. And so I don't risk saying more stuff. that's gonna be the end of this video. If you made it to this point of the video, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I know I already said it a lot of times, but this is a personal project. It's meant to just engage in more conversations with people. Helps me not forget my English, helps me learn more about the sport, and just have an output to share my ideas and thoughts with whoever's watching. So again, if you made it here, I appreciate it a lot. Hopefully you found this interesting. I invite everyone, if this is the first video that you managed to cross paths with, to watch the first ones. And the previous ones, I should have 4 videos up. And if you are up to date, if you're actually watching all of this in order, thank you. And also, I'll be working on the next video soon. So, again, thank you everyone. This was episode 5, Imola, Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, on Final Thoughts with Emilio. Thank you everyone. Thank you very much. Have a great day, morning, night, car ride, and see you next time.